pushing your microphone.
Sorry, we need to
be here. Sorry.
Welcome, Danny. Congratulations with everything.
Smoke TV, Leicester Square TV, TV channels everywhere.
How was
gyro rig and everything?
How was filming in India? How was the whole experience?
Spectacularly interesting and different and wonderful. Really, it's very. It's its own self, and you can't change it. You can't impose anything on it. It's a city that's hurtling forward in time. You know, it's expanding its economy. It's also full of people, all of whom define the city. So as a Westerner dropping in there with a small crew, all you're going to be able to do is just set your story in amongst it and gain what you can from it as a result of being in it. You can't control it, you can't alter it, or you can try, but you'll waste a lot of money and a lot of time trying to do it, because it's in fast forward going that way, and you've got to catch up and go with it, you know, as best you can.
The younger characters speak in their native language, and then as they grow up, you chose to make them speak English. What was that choice? Why did you make that choice?
Because well, originally the film was written completely in English, and then when we got there, the 7-year-olds, a lot of people in India speak English and speak Hinglish, this mixture of Hindi and English, which is really beautiful. But the 7-year-olds don't really speak English yet, so it was fake. So we thought, no, we better do it in Hindi, and so we do some of the subtitles in English. And I remember ringing up the studios in America, telling them that there was going to be some Hindi in the film, and there was just silence after I said it, you know. And I think they thought I'd gone mad and kind of was going to bring back a 5-hour film about yoga or something, all in Hindi. But I said it'll be even more spectacular and even more exciting because it's in the native language and because there'll be these subtitles which move around. They're quite exhilarating to watch. So it's just, we try to make it as realistically as possible. And by the time they are 12, 13, they can speak it, you know. So it felt right for an audience here to be able to get in contact with them, you know.
Well, apparently you put 2 of them into schools. That's wonderful.
Yeah, 2 of the little ones hadn't been to school or anything like that, and we managed to get them in a school, and that will change their life, you know. And they've sort of changed ours by being so wonderful in the film. You have to give something back if you can, you know. So to get into school in India, you have to have a date of birth, and they didn't know what their date of birth was. And so we found out, and then you give them and you tell them that's your birthday, and you'll get presents on that day, and they love that, the idea. You can imagine kids going, you know, so that was really lovely.
The film is beautiful. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers now.
Good luck.
See you later.
Thank beautiful movie.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Now tell me, where did you get this idea from? What inspired you to come up with it?
Well, there is a book by a man called Vikas Swarup called Q&A, and it is a series of sort of linked short stories, but it's about a slum kid who gets on the show, who wants to be a millionaire. So that was my inspiration.
And how do you deal with the whole thing about going from when he answers the questions in the thing and then from remembering back to that, going that back and forth in time? How did you deal with that? I mean, is that
really tricky, because I think with that very complex structure of going from a police station to his past, back to the game show, I think to begin with an audience is confused, and then they work it out, and then they think it's clever, and then they think it's a bit boring if you're not careful. So just a lot of careful editing, and we changed our minds loads of times. We even cut one of the questions out because we felt that kind of schematic way of going from one to the other was getting too much.
Of course, because I was wondering whether that was more in post-production or whether you actually, in terms of writing, you had a lot.
Yeah, no, I wrote it that way just because you have to be very, very clear in the script.
And how long did it take you to actually write the script?
I guess the first draft took about 4 months. I spent quite a long time in Mumbai finding stories, working out how I was going to make this into a love story, which I decided that was the only way you could follow this very complicated story, as if there was a very, very simple ambition to it, and the ambition was love, not money, you know.
So what message do you think is the story trying to put across in it?
I think it's a message of hope. Of, you know, that the underdog can, no matter how difficult things are. You know, you got one guy over here in a city of 19 million people, you got a girl over here, and somehow they meet. Don't want to give the end away, but...
no, well, we're just anyway, and great job, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
And for other people that want to do writing as such, I mean, what advice would you give to them? What's the best tip to get a great idea and put it on paper?
Write about what you feel passionately about. Because when I went to Bombay, I thought this is the most amazing place I have ever visited.
Inspirational.
Totally inspiring. And that's what you need to spend 3 years on a project. You need to really love it.
Thank you ever so much, and congratulations, beautiful story. Really well Slumdog Millionaire. It was fantastic closing night. We got to speak to Danny Boyle among all the cast actors, among the producer and the writer. It's been a great festival, and luckily the film was absolutely beautiful. This is Alejandra, Club de Roda, working for Smoke TV and Smoke Newspaper. Thank you for watching.